Having harbored a secret crush on my childhood friend for years, I found out he had fallen for my roommate. He asked me, "What kind of guys do girls usually like?" I thought for a moment and replied, "Someone who cherishes her." So, on my birthday, he deliberately only prepared a gift for my roommate. He invited us to hike, but intentionally left me behind. Afterward, in front of my roommate and me, he apologized to me, "I'm sorry, I really shouldn't have left you alone. But my heart and eyes are only on her, I can't pay attention to anyone else." The whole school was enamored with my childhood friend's deep and devoted love. Only I felt exhausted. During the Lunar New Year break, he found me again, "Go home by yourself, my passenger seat isn't for other girls." Oh, I directly got into his roommate's passenger seat. "I wasn't planning on going home with you anyway." After I said that, my childhood friend turned green with envy. "When did you get so close to Owen Carter?" Downstairs in the dormitory, just after I said I was getting a ride home with Owen Carter, Samuel Jones looked like he wanted to devour me. As if I had done something to betray him. I was puzzled. "You deliberately left me on the mountain last month. Owen Carter was the one who brought me down." It would have been better if I hadn't mentioned it. Bringing it up only made me angrier. He invited me to hike. But when I arrived, I found out my roommate, Hazel White, was also there. The mountain was windy and cold. He only prepared hand warmers and ginger date tea for Hazel White. I felt a little aggrieved. I looked at him expectantly, "What about mine?" But all I got was, "Don't ask for too much." He leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Hazel is too hard to pursue, she wouldn't come if I asked her to hike alone. She only came when I said you would be there too. So, find a time to leave on your own later." The cold wind cut into my heart. I gradually fell behind them. Samuel Jones must have said something funny because Hazel White was laughing heartily. I accidentally tripped and fell. They stopped to look at me. Hazel White held her warm tea. The smile on her face didn't fade. "That's hilarious. Samuel Jones said you have flat feet and don't watch where you're going, and you actually fell." So, was I the source of their amusement? I stood up awkwardly. My phone vibrated. Samuel Jones stood behind Hazel White, sending me a message, "Act natural, when Hazel White talks to you, respond. Don't let my goddess feel ignored." The feeling of being wronged, the bitterness, and the contrast of Samuel Jones's differential treatment made me unable to stay for even a second longer. But I didn't know the way down the mountain. I could only follow them for a while and then go back on my own. But Samuel Jones couldn't even wait for that. I squatted down to tie my shoelaces. He led Hazel White forward. The empty and silent mountain range was left with only me. I called him in fear. I wanted to ask if he had forgotten about me. But he rejected the call. After a long while, he finally replied, "Wendy Hill, do you have any sense?" Looking at the message, my tears uncontrollably fell onto my phone. I was truly lost. Just when I was almost in despair, a tall man came into view. Dressed in all black, with sharp eyebrows and eyes, carrying the cold air of winter. "What are you crying about?" I knew him. Samuel Jones's roommate, Owen Carter. He was so handsome that he consistently topped the school's most handsome list, and most of the school's girls liked him. But because he was too aloof and unconventional, he didn't seem to have good relationships. Samuel Jones always told me that Owen Carter was indifferent to everyone. He looked cold and unapproachable. And very fierce and intimidating. Whenever he was stern with me, my tears would fall even more uncontrollably. I was cold, wronged, and scared. I cried so hard that my whole body was shaking. While Owen Carter stood less than 3 meters away from me, leisurely watching me. "Did you hear me?" "What?" I froze. I stared blankly at him. He didn't speak. He twirled the flashlight in his hand. His feet crunched on the branches. The light flickered. The shadows of the trees swayed. It was no different from a group of ghosts dancing wildly. Especially when he coldly uttered a single word, "Go, St." I let out a short, sharp scream and threw myself into his arms. He didn't expect me to make such a sudden move. He instinctively caught me. And due to inertia, he hugged me as we crashed into the tree trunk behind him. Throughout the whole process, he didn't forget to protect my head with his hand. I heard a muffled groan. Just as I was about to ask what was wrong, I heard him grit his teeth and say, "Get off." But his hand protecting my head didn't loosen. He was clearly saying one thing but meaning another. So, not only did I not get off, I also used my hands and feet like an octopus, clinging to him. "Take me down the mountain." Owen Carter didn't speak. His thin lips were pressed into a straight line. The way he looked at me was as if I was a female hooligan taking advantage of him. I sheepishly withdrew my hand that was pressing on his chest muscles. While silently cursing Samuel Jones's ancestors, I stared at the man's smooth and exquisite jawline, pitifully begging him, "Please?" Owen Carter's eyes flickered slightly, and his Adam's apple bobbed slightly. At that time, I couldn't understand the emotions in his eyes. I only knew that his pitch-black eyes were darker than the night. Guessing that he wasn't as aloof as he seemed, I boldly grabbed his sleeve. "If you don't take me down the mountain, I'll cry for you to see." But as soon as I uttered a syllable, he silenced me. "Shut up, you cry worse than a ghost." So, if it wasn't for Owen Carter, I wouldn't have just frozen to death, I would have been scared to death too. Thinking of this, I was too lazy to waste any more words with Samuel Jones, and dragged my suitcase away. But for some reason, Samuel Jones was relentlessly following me today. Owen Carter's car never carries any girls. He can even reject Hazel White, so why would he come specifically to take you home? He stared at me and suddenly said, "So what Hazel White said is true." "What?" I panicked. He sneered, "You like me, so you're distancing yourself from me, and you're jealous of her. Now you're making up Owen Carter to provoke me." He held onto my suitcase. "But Wendy Hill, I only like Hazel White, my heart and eyes are only on her. I'm destined to only hurt you." Is he crazy? Am I your relationship catalyst? I was so angry that my chest rose and fell violently, and I wished I could slap him to death. Because I used to like him. Seeing him clearly now only made me feel more disgusted. But he was still very smug. "Sorry, it's just that I'm too charming." I couldn't bear it any longer. "You're charming? Where are you charming? Just because you can do something so classless as to leave a girl on a mountain, there's no way I could ever like you. Besides, I was determined to salvage my pride. Owen Carter is 6 feet 2 inches, has a six-pack and a godlike physique. He's crazy about me. How else would I have met him on the mountain? Why would I pass up a devoted, loving man like him to be with trash like you? I went off on a rant, hands on my hips. After the satisfying tirade, I realized I was downstairs in the dorm. People were passing by. They were all looking behind me. I had a vague feeling of foreboding. I turned around and saw the man standing next to the black G-Wagon. Six-pack and godlike physique. He was wearing a black leather jacket today, slightly revealing his lean waistline, making his legs look longer than Samuel Jones's worthless life. Hardcore handsome. No need for any tricks. Just standing there, one look from him could make people submit. Everyone was captivated by his beauty. Only I pretended to be calm. "Ow. Owen Carter, you're here." My heart was pounding. Even my palms were sweating. Stupid mouth. What did I just say? Owen Carter loves me to death? Heavens. Could karma strike any faster? To try and provoke me, you should at least find someone believable. Samuel Jones glanced at me with schadenfreude. He ran over to offer Owen Carter a cigarette, brown-nosing. "Owen, what's up? Still haven't gone home yet?" Owen Carter was handsome, rich, and had many people who wanted to curry favor with him. But even as a roommate, he hadn't exchanged many words with them. So, there was no way he could believe that some random girl like Wendy Hill could catch Owen Carter's eye. But then, the man didn't take his cigarette and knocked on the car door, picking up my girlfriend to go home. Samuel Jones was dumbfounded. Then he saw Owen Carter, who was always aloof, walk up to me and naturally take my suitcase. "Right, girlfriend." I was nervous and embarrassed, and shyly looped my arm through his. "Honey, what took you so long? I've been waiting forever." Owen Carter raised an eyebrow slightly, and casually Ed, actually cooperating with my answer. "Got you some snacks, thought you might get bored on the road, let's go." Samuel Jones watched the whole thing with resentment. "You two are dating? Everything she said is true." "Not all true." Owen Carter suddenly stopped. My inner alarms went off. I gripped his lean arm tightly, looking at him with pleading eyes. A smile flashed in his eyes. "I do love her to death." I breathed a sigh of relief, and then saw him curve his lips. But what again?" I choked on that breath. Then I saw Owen Carter bend down, his gaze becoming gentle. "Girlfriend, I'm 6 feet 3 inches, don't always get it wrong." Safely and uneventfully, I got into Owen Carter's passenger seat. I immediately closed the car door and honestly apologized. "Owen Carter, I didn't mean to use you, I really had no choice, I'll pay you. I'm sorry, for bothering you. Just drop me off at the next intersection." But as soon as I finished speaking, my phone popped up with a message from Samuel Jones. "Aren't we going together? You guys go first, I'll follow behind." Damn it. Owen Carter also saw the message. His slender fingers tapped the steering wheel lightly, and I carefully watched his expression. "How about we just go all the way and drop me off at home?" I raised 3 fingers, triple the fare. No, 5 times. But someone like Owen Carter didn't need money. But that was all I could offer. I bit my lip and reluctantly offered a price, 10 times. "Wah, my wallet." The man glanced at me through the rearview mirror, his eyes as clear and cold as moonlight. Without saying yes or no, he just looked at me. "So, you're planning to rent a boyfriend to take home for the Lunar New Year? Will you rent yourself out?" I blinked my eyes, looking at him with anticipation. He raised an eyebrow, his features prominent, his eyes deep and cold. He threw my phone to me. Navigate the address yourself. Wah. He agreed. He's such a beautiful and kind person. I deftly swiped the screen and entered the address into the map app. But then I saw a message from Samuel Jones again. Roommate Samuel Jones, dude, do you know that Wendy Hill and I went to the same high school? What kind of taste do you have? I was instantly furious, and glanced at Owen Carter. Can I use your phone to curse at someone? Owen Carter lowered his eyes and took the phone directly from my hand. My heart fluttered slightly as our fingertips touched, then I heard his pleasant voice, tinged with coldness. Who do you think you are? Who are you to judge a girl? He crisply sent the voice message and then crisply threw the phone back to me. Can you navigate now? Help. I declare that from now on I am Owen Carter's fangirl. Standing him alone. I gratefully navigated to the address and put the phone on the holder. I don't know what possessed me, but I couldn't help but say, Samuel Jones and I grew up together, in high school. In high school, all I did every day was practice exams for 5 years and prepare for college for 3 years. What unforgivable things did I do? For Samuel Jones to slander me like that to a stranger. Thinking of this, I got even angrier, whether you believe it or not. You're a great person for helping me out. But I'm not a bad person either. I was so angry that I wanted to confront Samuel Jones right now. After hearing that, Owen Carter looked at me through the rearview mirror. His eyes were especially beautiful, big and clear. Why do you feel the need to defend yourself? Huh? I know what kind of people I associate with. Don't you know what kind of person you are? Why defend yourself? His eyes were so beautiful, like the peach blossom eyes written in novels, shimmering with spring light and gentleness. I was accidentally stunned. Right, you're right. The car drove smoothly all the way, and soon arrived home. Owen Carter helped me take out my suitcase. I won't go in. It's not good to bring a guy home without my parents' permission, but I can lend you a photo. I was worried about how to deal with Samuel Jones's follow-up questions. Won't it affect you? After all, he was very popular at school. After sales service. He winked at me. Anyway, aren't you paying? Yes. My heart ached every time I thought of my wallet. I deftly opened the camera. I had to take enough photos to make it worth it. It would be best to record a video. But Owen Carter was too tall, and the frame couldn't fit both of our faces. I didn't dare get too close, or maybe just a shot of our backs would work. As soon as the words left my mouth, the man who had been standing straight suddenly leaned down, closing the distance between our faces to less than 2 inches, the faint, pleasant scent of cedarwood, gentle and clean. The previously dull and drab scene immediately became bright and vibrant. He ruffled my hair under the thick down jacket hood. Wendy Hill, Happy New Year. I was taken aback for a moment, and then infected by his smile, shouted loudly into the camera, Owen Carter. Happy New Year. Just as I finished shouting, Samuel Jones happened to appear. He slammed the car door shut with a deafening bang. I happily put away my phone and said goodbye to Owen Carter. This year is definitely going to be a happy one. As soon as I got home, the high school group announced a class reunion. Samuel Jones posted, I'm bringing my girlfriend, hope you don't mind? Someone chimed in, ooh, you finally caught Wendy Hill. Shouldn't you send out a red envelope to celebrate? At that time, I was chatting with Owen Carter. I didn't even look at the group. By the time I saw it, there were already 99+ messages in the group. Messages of congratulations to Samuel Jones and me were pouring in. Someone named, Sweet Little Hazel, tagged me. Samuel's too busy to look at his phone. Don't you know how to clarify things yourself? Are you really that eager? I was completely confused. That familiar profile picture, was Hazel White? Samuel Jones added her to the high school group? Before I could react, Samuel Jones came online. Don't get me wrong, this is my girlfriend at Sweet Little Hazel, much prettier than Wendy Hill. The class group was silent. I was furious. I threw my phone down and went to knock on Samuel Jones's door. He lazily walked out in his pajamas. When he saw that it was me, his eyes became smug. What? I added Hazel to the group, and you're jealous? You've even come to my door? I didn't say anything, looking at him, picked up my constantly vibrating phone, and sent a voice message in front of him. I hope some people understand, Samuel Jones and I are just neighbors, and I also have a boyfriend. He's our school's most handsome guy, so handsome, in such great shape, and so devoted, he makes sure I get home safe. The other day when he drove me, he took me all the way to my front door, and we miss each other when we're apart. With every word I spoke, Samuel Jones's face darkened. I was satisfied, and sneered as I continued, so this lady has no time to pay attention to some clowns. You're not the only ones dating in the world, and you're not the only ones who are so busy that you don't have time to look at your phones, okay? I finished speaking, sent the message, all in one go. Not satisfied. I glared at Samuel Jones. I'm warning you for the last time, I don't care who you like, stop using me as a pawn, or I'll tell your dad you're smoking. Samuel Jones's face finally couldn't hold it in. Wendy Hill, if you want a boyfriend, I can introduce you to someone. But Owen Carter is just playing with you. Do you really think someone like you deserves him? Listen to that arrogant and shameless tone. In his eyes, I'm so worthless that I can be treated however he wants, used as a pawn and then resented for being in the way, right? I felt wronged and angry, and just as I was about to retort, a deep, magnetic voice sounded behind me. Who said I'm playing with her? I turned back in disbelief. Owen Carter had actually returned. Behind him were several other equally handsome young men. But they were all smiling ambiguously. Their teasing gazes landed on me. I was confused. Then Owen Carter pulled me behind him. Those young men quickly surrounded me, like they were protecting their own. She deserves anyone, like 1,000 times over, but you. Owen Carter's voice was very cold, as if it had been quenched in ice, and his expression was more serious than ever. Using girls as pawns, thinking you're so great? The face that Samuel Jones always wore, which was the picture of respectability, suddenly turned green and red. He didn't dare to provoke Owen Carter, nor did he dare to provoke the group around him. He could only look at me. Wendy Hill, you better be able to stay with him for the long haul. Bang! He slammed the door shut in anger. Don't listen to his gaslighting. The farce ended, and Owen Carter turned to look at me. You left something in my car. He handed me a warm hand warmer from Lina Bell's. I took it blankly. You came all the way back just for this? That's too much trouble. His good brothers were all suppressing their laughter. Owen Carter glanced at them, and they immediately knew to give a space, and didn't forget to greet me as they left. Hello, sis-in-law. Sis-in-law, you definitely deserve Owen. Sis-in-law, keep Owen in check, he's too fierce. Owen, if you're so fierce, sis-in-law might not want you. My face was burning. Why are you calling me sis-in-law? This time, Owen Carter was also a little uncomfortable. The 6 feet 3 inches man stood in front of me, scratched the back of his head, and coughed lightly. Why don't you look at your phone yourself? My heart skipped a beat. I quickly took out my phone. And almost fainted from what I saw. How could there be a 30-second voice message in my chat with Owen Carter? I almost trembled as I tapped play. Then, my full-bodied, show-offy voice rang out in the quiet air. My boyfriend, the school's most handsome, so handsome and in such great shape, we can't bear to be apart. Why do I always do things that are so socially embarrassing? I wanted to dig a hole and bury myself, let me explain. But what was there to explain? I'm just a little girl who loves to look at handsome guys and loves to show off. How about I just transfer the money to you? I started rummaging in my pockets, on the verge of tears. I've ruined your reputation. I'm sorry. Those guys must have heard the voice message. Owen Carter had a faint smile on his face. I don't have a girlfriend, so how could you ruin my reputation? But aren't you a girl? Aren't you bothered? He said apologetically. I didn't mean to play the voice message out loud. No, I'm not bothered at all. You've been helping me from start to finish. And you didn't accept the money I transferred just now. Saying this, I quickly took out my phone. How about you accept it? Otherwise, my conscience will really bother me. But I don't have the habit of taking money from girls, so how about this? He turned to look at his good brothers who were eating popcorn on the sidelines. We'll be staying in H City for a few more days, before the Lunar New Year. If it's not too much trouble, can you be our tour guide? I can pay you. Not a problem at all. I immediately raised my hand and swore, I promise to make sure you have a good time. I happily went home and started doing research. I completely forgot to reply to the messages in the high school class group. Until Hazel White sent me a message. I'm planning to date Samuel Jones. Me, okay. Hazel White, are you jealous? Me, I'm busy. Hazel White, really? She sent a screenshot of a chat, and then instantly deleted it. Sorry, accidentally sent you the gift Samuel Jones bought me. You're not mad, are you? I didn't reply. She continued, but, I heard you've always liked this brand of bag. How is it that you've known Samuel Jones for over a decade, and he's never given you one? I was silent for 3 seconds, and then typed on my phone keyboard, you can hold more than a trash can. And then decisively blocked her. Out of sight, out of mind. When I went out in the morning, Auntie Jones saw me carrying ski equipment. Wendy, are you going to the eastern suburbs ski resort with Samuel? Coincidentally, he forgot his keys again. Can you help Auntie take the keys to him? Since I was little, Samuel Jones has been forgetful and I have been cleaning up after him. It's because we are too familiar. That's why they naturally assumed that Samuel Jones's girlfriend was me. If I take the keys to him now, there's a good chance that there will be a misunderstanding. So, for the first time, I refused Auntie Jones's request. Auntie, it may not be convenient, I'm not playing with him today. After saying that, I put on my backpack and went out. Completely unaware that Auntie Jones called Samuel Jones after I left. Did you make Wendy angry? Samuel Jones's carefree voice came over. Mom, I'm in college now, I can't always be with her, right? Are you really thinking of her as your daughter-in-law? Auntie Jones scolded him. Isn't someone with a clean background and someone you know well good? And didn't you insist on being with her in the first place? That was all in elementary school. Samuel Jones was annoyed. He didn't want to be pestered by Wendy Hill. How could the nonsense he spouted in elementary school be taken seriously? But his mom warned him, don't take Wendy's kindness for granted and be ungrateful. If a girl really loses her mind over you, you won't be able to stop crying. Make it up to her, you hear? Okay, I'll make it up to her. Samuel Jones hung up the phone impatiently. But what was there to make up? Which time had he neglected Wendy? That Wendy hadn't come to find him first? He had already seen that she liked him in her diary. He didn't need to maintain her liking for him at all. He beckoned. And she would stick to him like a plaster. It was so annoying. He took out his phone, with a rebellious mindset. Not only did he not make it up to her, but he also sent Wendy a message. My mom said you were coming to the eastern suburbs? I'm bringing Hazel to play today, don't come here to spoil the fun. After sending the message, he called Hazel White. Baby, where are you? I'll pick you up. Hazel White pouted at him on the phone. I'm at the entrance. But I saw Wendy Hill, how annoying, I also like the ski suit she's wearing. Hearing this, Samuel Jones sneered. What right does she have to fight you for it? You wait for me, I'll be right over. After reassuring Hazel White, he contacted Wendy Hill again. I told you not to spoil the fun, can't you understand human language? But 5 minutes passed. Wendy Hill didn't reply to his message. 10 minutes passed. Wendy Hill still didn't reply. But Hazel White sent him a message again, complaining, Samuel Jones. Why are you so useless? I want that ski suit. Samuel Jones was also angry this time. He directly called Wendy Hill. But he didn't expect to be rejected. He squeezed his phone. An indescribable anger surged to his chest. Wendy Hill actually dared to reject him. She would never reject him anything. Coincidentally, he had already walked to the place where they rented ski suits. There were a lot of people. But he still recognized Wendy Hill at a glance, wearing a thick blue ski suit and a gray-pink rabbit helmet. A little bulky. But very cute. He suddenly remembered. That rabbit was a character from Wendy Hill's favorite cartoon. It was a couple with a fox. He accompanied her to watch the movie when it was released back then. So, Wendy Hill was fighting for that ski suit, essentially to compete with Hazel White for him? Thinking of this, Samuel Jones's hurried footsteps calmed down. He first patted Hazel White's shoulder reassuringly, and then walked to Wendy Hill, and said very reluctantly, how about this, you give the ski suit to Hazel White, and on the first day of the new year, how about I go watch a movie with you? I never thought Samuel Jones could be so shameless. I squeezed my rabbit ears. I resisted the urge to slap him. Get yourself treated if you're sick, it's not a good omen to be sick during the new year. Samuel Jones didn't expect me to be so cold, and the triumphant expression on his face gradually cracked. Don't ask for too much. If Hazel White didn't have something to do you think I'd want to hang out with you? Oh, then go away. I bumped into him without any politeness. Stepping into the snow, 1 foot deep, 1 foot shallow. Hazel White yelled at him, tell her to give me the ski suit. Samuel Jones reached out to stop me. But a bright green color was like a gust of rapid wind, splashing a thick layer of snow, coming aggressively. Samuel Jones didn't have time to dodge and crashed into Hazel White next to him. But that flash of green was just a feint, and then stopped steadily in front of me. The helmet was taken off, revealing a face brighter than the snow, with delicate eyebrows and eyes, wanton and arrogant. Immediately after, several equally neat figures came sliding over. Owen, why are you running so fast? Owen Carter stood in front of me, his cool gaze fell on the 2 people on the ground, his tone was light but with an undeniable favoritism. Someone's bothering my girlfriend, I have to run faster. I didn't expect Owen Carter to wear this Nick Wilde couple outfit. Broad shoulders and narrow waist, tall and long legs, and a bit of a fox's roguishness and gentlemanliness. So handsome that my little heart was pounding wildly. Hazel White's originally triumphant face turned pale. Your girlfriend is Wendy Hill? You like Wendy Hill? There were undercurrents between the two. I thought they might know each other. Wouldn't I be exposed if I let Owen Carter lie? I was a little uneasy. Then I heard a decisive answer. Yes, I like her, I like Wendy Hill. Owen Carter was staring at me when he answered. My face turned red and my ears burned shamefully. His eyes were really beautiful. It was a sin to make such beautiful eyes lie. So I reached out and tugged his clothes slightly. Good person, thank you for helping me out, I'll treat you to dinner later. Hazel White was distraught, but still bit her teeth and shouted unwillingly, swear it. This time, even Samuel Jones could see that something was wrong with Hazel White, and reached out to pull her. But Hazel White just stared straight at Owen Carter. Swear it, say you really like Wendy Hill. Why was she getting so serious about this during the Lunar New Year? I carefully poked my head out from behind him, just as I was about to speak, I was scooped up by a large hand. At 6 feet 3 inches, with a body like a double door, he scooped me up like a little chick. In front of everyone, Owen Carter spoke in a lazy and solemn tone, "If I'm going to swear, I'll swear to my girlfriend." Then I watched blankly as he tapped my rabbit ears. "Wendy Hill, I really like you, it's not an act, and it's not because you're beautiful and kind." He raised an eyebrow, looked at me, and curved his lips. "I'm not that kind." Oops. My little heart seemed to be about to explode. Owen Carter likes me. No, Owen Carter has a crush on me. My mind seemed to explode with fireworks, and I looked at him a little blankly. Really? Yeah, why else would I go up the mountain to find you? A sudden honesty. I was stunned for a moment. That's right. I'm so beautiful and cute. It wasn't impossible for someone to fall in love with me at first sight. But someone seemed to be even more unable to accept it than me. "Wendy, stop making a scene and come home with me." Samuel Jones stared at me intently. Even though Hazel White had already run away in a daze, he didn't go after her. "I don't want to go home with you." I grabbed Owen Carter's arm. "I'm going on a date with my boyfriend, don't you have any sense?" I returned the words that Samuel Jones used to humiliate me, word for word. "They're all sensible and don't want to be light bulbs. Why are you still standing here?" But Samuel Jones seemed to have changed. Not only did he not leave, but he also took a step forward, looked at me and then at Owen Carter. "I'm half your brother at least, now that you have a boyfriend, shouldn't I be able to approve?" TSK. What kind of brother was he? But Samuel Jones still sat down opposite me and Owen Carter. Even Hazel White, with red eyes from crying, adjusted her state and came over. Throughout the whole meal, her eyes were fixed on Owen Carter. I was a little jealous at first. But Owen Carter didn't seem to be very interested in her. His attention was on me the whole time. Picking out the green onions for me, peeling shrimp for me. The waiter brought up a plate of sweet and sour pork ribs that I liked. Samuel Jones subconsciously put the ribs in front of Hazel White. He used to do this all the time. He would always call me to eat with Hazel White. If I got angry, he would look at Hazel White affectionately. "See, I love you so much, I can even ignore my good friend." I was often so angry that I couldn't catch my breath. If I was angry, I would seem petty. If I wasn't angry, I would feel too wronged. But this time it was different. Owen Carter directly blocked Samuel Jones's movement to give Hazel White the dish, and said coldly, "If you don't eat, get out." Samuel Jones's face turned green and white. He defended himself. "What's wrong with me favoring my girlfriend?" Owen Carter didn't indulge him at all. "Can't you ask for your own favorite food?" He put the peeled shrimp into my bowl. "So just because you have a girlfriend to favor, you're so noble? You're taking advantage of the fact that the little girl is thin-skinned and too embarrassed to tell you off, so you're climbing all over me." How should I put it? I knew that I still had to protect my own interests. But it felt really good to have someone favor me. No wonder Hazel White was always taken in by Samuel Jones's preferential treatment. I picked up a shrimp. Enjoying it. Samuel Jones honestly put the plate of sweet and sour pork ribs back in front of me. But he probably felt upset and ordered me, "Pour me a glass of water." I chewed on the shrimp, mimicking him. "I can't pour it, I only pour water for my boyfriend." Samuel Jones's face turned green this time. Owen Carter followed, echoing, "Yeah, she also has a boyfriend to favor." Samuel Jones. I enjoyed the meal more than ever. After the meal, Owen Carter went to pay the bill. Samuel Jones went to the restroom. I sat in my seat touching up my lipstick. Hazel White glared at me fiercely. "You don't deserve Owen Carter." Her gaze almost pierced through the pile of shrimp shells on the table, with a heartbroken and angry tone. "When has his hands ever peeled shrimp?" I didn't stop applying lipstick, and raised my head to look at her. I decided to take advantage of my position. "Really?" I imitated her tone when she used to satirize me. "You've known Owen Carter for so long, and he's never peeled shrimp for you." "But I've only known him for a week, and he's willingly peeled shrimp for me." I was triumphant. Even more arrogant than Hazel White back then. So this is how good it feels to be a little green TB*TCH. Hazel White's newly adjusted expression couldn't hold. Her lips trembled, and her eyes were red as she looked at me. After a while, she looked very wronged and looked behind me. I had a vague feeling of foreboding. Then, in the mirror, I met those beautiful eyes. Oops. I screwed up again. "See," Hazel White sniffed, gleefully saying to Owen Carter, "She doesn't like you that much, she's just using you. You always get struck by lightning for acting cool." I was numb. "Owen Carter, maybe I'm not a kind little girl. I'm materialistic. I hate Samuel Jones and Hazel White in my heart. But I was helpless. I could only use him to fight back. Well, let it be. I decided to be honest. But Owen Carter walked over, his lean hands supported on the back of the chair behind me, and in an instant, I was surrounded by the pleasant scent of his citrus. He was actually protecting me, my girlfriend, who else would she use if not me? Until the Lunar New Year. Hazel White didn't come to bother me again. She was probably badly abused by Owen Carter last time. On the second day of the Lunar New Year, Samuel Jones came to my house to pay a New Year visit. I sat on the sofa showing off my sugared tangerines. He ignored me. I also ignored him. Auntie Jones joked with my mom, these two kids have grown up and become estranged. When they were little, they didn't know how many times they would make a fuss and want to be betrothed to each other. In the past, when Auntie Jones said this, Samuel Jones would always chime in, I don't like her. But this year, he seemed to have really taken the wrong medicine, seriously looking at my mom, Auntie, what conditions do you need to marry Wendy off? I almost choked to death on the sugared tangerine, looking at him in disbelief. My mom replied with a smile, of course, someone who is sincere to her, preferably someone we know well. Samuel Jones directly replied, then I'm quite in line with Auntie's conditions. The joking elders were stunned. They had every intention of discussing our marriage properly. The second before my mom opened her mouth, I jumped up from the sofa. I grabbed Samuel Jones and ran to the balcony. As soon as the door was closed, I fiercely questioned him, what madness are you spouting again? The wind on the balcony was cold. It made me shiver. Samuel Jones lowered his eyes, I'm not crazy, I really fit Auntie's requirements. Are you sick? I wrapped my thick pajamas tighter, aren't you done with Hazel White? Are you here to harm me again? Mentioning Hazel White, Samuel Jones's eyes instantly dimmed, she's just using me. I was stunned. Then I heard him say, she's always liked my roommate Owen Carter. Wendy. I was wrong, I know now that you're the only one who's good to me. Hazel is chasing me, just to provoke Owen Carter. Their families know each other. They're meeting their parents today. Boom. It felt like something had exploded in my mind. My mind was filled with one thought. Hazel White was meeting Owen Carter's parents. They were a perfect match. I was holding my phone. Repeatedly clicking into the chat with Owen Carter, and then exiting. Our chat history was still from last time. I transferred him 1888, thank you, handsome guy, you acted so well. He didn't accept the transfer and asked me, where did I act well? I typed on the keyboard and replied, you're acting out a crush with such a handsome face, I almost fell for it. His profile picture showed that he was typing, over and over again. After more than 10 minutes, he didn't reply. I waited, and finally got a little sleepy, and fell asleep holding my phone. Later, on New Year's Eve, he sent me a Happy New Year and a Nick Wilde emoji. I thought it should be a group message, and I also officially copied a group message blessing, Happy Year of the Snake. Happiness and health. He didn't reply to the message again. Our chat history was still from last year. I was typing on the keyboard, deleting and changing. I really didn't know how to ask that question, are you meeting Hazel White's parents? That was so ambiguous. I couldn't bring myself to ask. I tossed and turned in bed in frustration. I accidentally tapped Owen Carter's profile picture. After realizing it, I screamed briefly, sat up, and, as if possessed, watched the other party tap me back, saying you'll treat me to milk tea. Then Owen Carter replied with one word, okay. Me? ? Owen Carter, should I order takeout for you, or go out together? Me? Did he have to be so efficient? Looking at the chat box, my heart was pounding, and I gritted my teeth and closed my eyes, and sent a green tea comment, if we go out together, won't it be inconvenient? Ha ha ha, so many people are going on blind dates at home recently. Then I closed my eyes, not daring to look at the message. The phone vibrated, and then vibrated again. I took a deep breath, resigned and opened my eyes, and clicked into the chat with Owen Carter. Owen Carter, tap my profile picture. Although I didn't understand, I did as I was told. After tapping his profile picture, the system showed, I tapped Owen Carter's Cupid's red thread, and broke it. Owen Carter, the red thread is broken on your end, who am I going on a blind date with? Me. So, the blind date wasn't real? My mood improved, if the red thread is broken, just fix it. Owen Carter, can't fix it. Someone is missing a screw. Me, who? He didn't reply. I just played with myself. New year, new look. I decided to change my profile picture to a Judy Hopps cartoon. After a while, I refreshed my phone. Owen Carter's profile picture had actually changed too. It was an arrogant, cunning fox waiting to be coaxed. I tapped his profile picture. The system showed, I tapped Owen Carter's heart, it says it only chooses you. The fox profile picture sent a new message, don't you understand? Class reunion. I dressed up carefully, and when I went out, I ran into Auntie Jones scolding Samuel Jones, "Can't you bring me a daughter-in-law back?" Samuel Jones was impatient. "How old am I? I haven't had enough fun yet." "If you haven't had enough fun, don't you know how to say something nice to coax a girl? That little girl is so pure, you can keep her as a backup." I didn't know what Samuel Jones replied. "Because I happened to appear." Auntie Jones immediately changed her appearance, calling out to me with a smile, "Wendy, come to Auntie's house for dinner tonight, Auntie's making buns today." "No, Auntie." I ran downstairs cheerfully, and replied without looking back, "I'm going on a date with my boyfriend." When we were in high school, we would pass around a class diary. When it was passed to me, I drew the fox and rabbit that were very popular at the time. The whole class was making a fuss, asking who the fox was. I blushed and replied, "I just drew it casually." Samuel Jones happened to be handing out test papers. He put my test paper on my desk. "You shouldn't have gotten these 2 basic questions wrong, remember to take a look at my notes." His deskmate laughed at him, "You only know how to lend your notes to pretty girls, why don't you let me see them?" Samuel Jones replied lightly, "I'm only special to her, got a problem with that?" I did like Samuel Jones. I marked a small S under the fox. I hope that someone will always favor me. I will also give the same favoritism. So later when I was in college, Samuel Jones asked me, "What kind of guys do girls usually like?" I replied, "Someone who favors her." But I didn't expect that Samuel Jones's so-called favoritism was based on hurting others. At the class reunion, the class monitor brought that class diary again. It was first passed to Samuel Jones, and then passed to me. I opened the yellowed, old booklet. There was a line of wet ink under the gray fox. "If I give you favoritism, will you forgive me?" I looked up, Samuel Jones was staring at me intently. I looked away, picked up a pen and wrote, "I don't want favoritism anymore. I think, you still have to find someone who's great to start with when you're in a relationship." I attended the class reunion. Owen Carter was eating out with his brothers. Brother 1, "Owen, are you secretly liking someone with that face and haven't succeeded yet?" Brother 2, "Speaking of which, why do you like her so much? You said you'd take us to play, but with one look from her, you changed the plan and would rather let us brothers freeze to death than take her home." Brother 3, "Worthless. If I had someone I liked, I wouldn't do that." The other brothers booed him, "Give it a rest, your goddess asked you if you've eaten, and you want to give her your family register. Owen is much more successful than you." Owen Carter was playing with his phone in the corner, not participating in the brothers' discussion. There was a video in his album. It was a talent show during college military training. Everyone was praising the pretty girl on stage wearing a sexy hot girl outfit. He was only staring at the girl in the corner doing the elephant dance like Shinchan. It was Wendy Hill. So cute, funny and abstract. To make his roommate happy, he fell in love at first sight. Every time he saw this video, his mood would improve. At the top of the screen, a new message was received. "Is it over? Do you want to go out for a walk together?" There was also a funny cat emoji. Owen Carter clicked into the conversation. He thought that he wasn't very successful either. Just one sentence. He thought Wendy Hill was inviting him to elope. He got up, picked up his coat, and didn't stop walking. The brothers called out to him, "The food hasn't been served yet, where are you going?" Owen Carter didn't look back, "Going to pick up my girlfriend." All the brothers, "Look at your worthless self." End of the whole text.